That's your belt. Or your tensioner.
We're looking at a 2003 Nissan Frontier XE base model, 2.4 liter.
What's been going on with this thing?
Well, usually first time start in the morning, no problem. Starts right up, cranks right away. However, if I warm it up and drive to the store, come out from the store maybe 20 minutes or even an hour later, it won't start right away. It tries to crank and crank and crank and crank, but will not turn over. And then finally it does turn over. It could take 5 to 10 seconds. When it finally does turn over, it sounds like it's flooded. And it just stutters for a while. But then once it starts, it runs fine. And I could then turn it back off and immediately start it again, and it would be absolutely fine. But it's when it's been sitting for a little bit after it's been warmed up that it just doesn't want to turn over right away.
How long would you say it takes for it to, like a 5-minute drive, a 10-minute drive for it to warm up? Doesn't matter.
Probably a 10-minute drive. What have you got going on back there, John? We're looking for
another line. Oh, there is. There's a 10 millimeter right back here. Can you see that? Right there, there's a 10 millimeter. I need to get this air cleaner off, this whole air cleaner assembly off, so that we can get down to the fuel pressure regulator. So, but there's a 10 millimeter there, and then I need to disconnect it from here as well.
What else did we have back there, you said? Is there a... oh, right here. Right here we've got a connection. I don't know if you need like a vacuum connection there. You can pull this lid off and then get to that better. And there's one in the back. Yeah, and then that just slides out. Yeah, that'll lift if need be.
Here's your air filter. So right back here on the bottom of the air filter housing, you have a little line that's connected to. Now we're able to get it up and out. It's right there. You just touch the focus.
Mm-hmm. Let me just see where that was. Yeah.
So right here, that is your fuel pressure regulator, and that's what we're going to change right now. So I'm going to take the bottom of this housing off. I'm going to take, instead of trying to attack the line right here, I'm going to just follow it here and remove the hose from where the valve cover is. Okay. Which I might not need to.
No, just rotate it.
I'm just going to rotate it, get it out of the way. Okay, so here's the little guy we need to change right here. This is the fuel pressure regulator, and the research we have done indicates that if we change this out, it might alleviate our problem of not starting after getting warm. We have a Phillips screw right there, and then we have a line down at the bottom that we're going to have to take care of. And then this line on top is just held on by a simple little clamp. The two screws match up, but the top valve, this line is bent the wrong way. And then where the vacuum line goes, on the one on the truck, it goes to the bottom, and this one's coming out from the side. My buddy ordered the wrong part, and we can't do this job right now. But one thing we are going to wait on, because, I mean, we have to wait on the new part. But these screws that actually hold the fuel pressure regulator on are stuck on there. They are just tiny little Phillips, and they do not want to budge. So we're going to need to put some penetrating oil on these and let this sit for a couple days. Because if you strip these out and you cannot get that thing off, you are SOL, and you don't want to be there. So be careful when you come in here. Make sure that you put some penetrating oil on these before you attempt this job. You know, at least 2 or 3 days before you do this. Or if you strip those out, you're going to have to drill that out, and it'll just be a hassle you don't want. All right, so we'll put some penetrating oil on this, let it sit for a couple days, and bring you back. It's been a couple days. We hit the screws with some PB blaster, let that soak. I don't know, what, half an hour, 15 minutes before you broke them free?
Oh no, I went a couple hours. I shot it, waited 5 hours, then shot it again, waited 2 hours, and then hit it, and it broke free pretty quick.
Okay, where's the screwdriver? Come down here. Oh yeah, look at that. They come out real nice now.
Yeah, it was already loose probably.
Okay, before I take those out all the way, I want to get this clip up and off and get that hose out, because it'll be a lot more difficult if the screws are out and trying to get this clip off than if the screws are still in place and we pull that clip back and we get the hose off. Okay, if you ever need to break free a hose, you can always get your pliers and just move it back and forth like this. And then comes the fun part of trying to get it off the metal sleeve.
What if we...
That's why I wanted to keep the screws in place.
A little bit of gas.
I don't care about that. Just a little bit of fuel will come out. Take the screws out the rest of the way. Do not drop them down there. And I don't think this fuel line is ever, so right there at the bottom, right where my pinky's at, that fuel line needs to come off. It's never ever been off. So it's kind of stuck on there. I'll do the same thing, get a wrench or a pair of pliers and try to break it free and then lift it up and out.
So it's twisting okay. Oh, that wasn't bad at all, huh?
There you go. There's a fuel pressure regulator. So we have the new one next to the old one. Just make sure they line up. We made the mistake of getting the wrong one the first time. So just make sure that you guys get the right one. The other one kind of looked the same, but it had the vacuum line
coming out the side.
Coming out the side, and this 90-degree elbow was facing that way. So just make sure you get the right one before you order your parts. I'm going to put some WD-40 on this little O-ring that goes into the intake before I install it. Just a little tiny bit. That's it. Put around the O-ring a little bit. Bring in your vacuum line.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have this vacuum line. Just reinstall it. There was no clamp or anything. Then we have this little housing where the O-ring will go into. That's back in place. And then the two screws we took out, I'm gonna put those back in. Does it look like it's lining up on that side?
Yeah, perfect.
Sorry, my hand's blocking the camera, but just know I'm just starting the screw by hand. Just snug them up. I'm sure there's a torque spec, but I'm just doing it good and tight. I'm going to put some WD-40 onto my fingers and just rub my shaft right there.
And that's not to slide that on, that's just because it feels good.
That's correct. Not to slide it on, but it feels good on my shaft. Actually, I'm going to take it back off. And I move this clamp a little bit.
I'll get the clamp in position.
Just setting the clamp up so it makes it easier to grab. Okay, now after you do this, just know it might take a few more seconds to start your vehicle than before.
Oh,
because it has to, yeah, it has to prime the system. So your best bet would, after doing this, is turn the key. Don't try to start your car. Just turn the key on. You'll hear the fuel pump. start and prime the system.
Come back your way.
Shut your key off. Yeah, shut your key off. Let it sit for 10 seconds and then turn it back on. Let the fuel pump prime one more time and then shut it off and then try to start it.
Okay, we're going back then, huh?
So then we'll put the air cleaner back on, put this little top hat back on.
So we're not going to show that?
Nah, if they got this far, they know how to do this.
Okay.
I won't bore you with that, but I'll bring you back in when we try to start the vehicle. I'm going to shut it off for 10 seconds. I want you to guys see if you guys can hear this. I'm putting the mic down closer. Okay, turn it. Don't start it. Shut it off. Hopefully you guys can hear that. All right, try to fire it up. Yeah. Try it again. So he's got to drive this thing around, get it hot, and we'll let you know if it cured the problem.